Hello, this is Brian Hegney, instructor of Game and Interactive Media Design here at High Point University. So we've made our quiz. We've made our quiz filled with 2 questions, a lot of questions. And right now you're going to have to figure out how many points you want each question to be. I use a 1,000 point grading system for every single class, and if you do that, then if your quizzes are worth, 25% of the class, and if you have 5 quizzes throughout the semester, then each one should be worth 5 percentage points, and that would be 50 points. And so a quiz should equal 50 points, so maybe I would set this to be 25. By the way, this input component here is so annoying. If you hit enter, great. Sometimes I have to click it 2 or 3 times before it will allow me to change this to a specific number of points. Submit. Okay, good. That was really easy, and I just made myself sound like an idiot. But if you're finding yourself like it's kicking you out of this little square, yeah, you're not alone. Okay, so I just made it 50 points now. That's 5 percentage points. And if you take 5 of these quizzes, that adds up to 25% of your 1,000 point class. Okay. How do you implement a quiz? Well, I created this little blurb here called quizzes, so you might not have that. I am actually going to go ahead and delete this blurb. Are you sure you want to permanently delete it? Yes, delete it. It will permanently delete the quizzes? Yeah, go ahead, delete it. So you may be starting from scratch with a Blackboard class that has no place for quizzes. I like to put assignments and quizzes all in the same location. If you want to have a place just for your quizzes, you can do that. I'm going to go ahead and create a content area by clicking on the little plus button on the top left. Content area, and I'm going to call this quizzes. Again, you may call yours assignments, quizzes, things like that. I'm not sure. You need to click it to make it available to users. Otherwise, they won't be able to click in there. Then submit it. It adds it to the bottom. We'll keep it at the bottom for now. It is not visible because there's nothing in it yet. It has no content. So actually, if you're a student, you're not going to see this. So let's go ahead and click on here, quizzes. There is no content. Let's go ahead and add that quiz. You add a quiz by going to Assessments and Test. Right, I forgot. Blackboard uses the term test. I use the term quiz because my tests are very small. Okay, week 8 reading quiz. That's how we do it. Remember, those 2 quizzes I created are here. If you've been following along and you've only created 1 quiz, then you only have that quiz to select from. So there we go. We're going to say week 8 reading quiz, and I'm going to submit it. Now here's where we kind of add a whole bunch of stuff, turn on some features for each quiz, and this is where we get kind of back to what I started talking about, which is the 3 attempts and average of all 3 attempts. Number 1, this quiz content comes from what we already created, so that's good. We don't have to write this. Let's go ahead and click on Show Test Description and Show Test Instructions. Hey, I wrote those things for a reason. I want my students to see them. This is, if we don't click this, it's not going to tell them my specific directions. Okay. Open test in a new window. Guess what? I don't know what is the best thing. I usually click yes, and no one has ever complained. And when I click no, no one has ever complained. Personally, I like things opening in a new gosh darn window, so I'm going to do what I like. Yes. Make available to students. Yes! Even if you don't want it to go live, click yes, because you won't, like me one time, you don't want to forget to make it available when it's time to be available. Down here, when we get further down, you'll be able to make the quiz visible after a certain date. That's totally fine. So just make it available. Do you want to add a new announcement? Sure, why not? Won't hurt. This is where the multiple attempts comes in. If you click this, you can say unlimited attempts. I've done that before. Let me tell you what happens, because I said it would take the average of all grades, and I said, hey, if you bomb the first one, take it a second time and get 100. Take it a third time, get 100. Take it as many times as you want and get hundreds and increase your score. I made my quizzes really hard that semester, and some students took it like 20 times to try to get a really high score. There's obviously a point mathematically where you cannot increase over that. So that's, I don't know, that was fun. That was a fun semester. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to start with 3 attempts. I think 3 is perfectly fair. It is not so much like even if you get a 50 or if you get a 0 your first time, there's no way to, you won't get a decent score after that. But if you get a 50, maybe. It encourages, I think, people to really care about the content. So number of attempts is 3, and then again, the way I do it is I average those graded attempts. I've never used anything except highest grade and average. I guess I could see using last graded attempt, might be fine. I'm okay with average. I don't want them to get 100 so easily, though. So that's why I worry about last graded attempt and highest. I want them, hey, there's some consequences for not doing well. Now, I don't see any of these as mean, but I am going to do forced completion. I am giving them so much leeway with having open quizzes that, yeah, you're gonna complete it in one sitting. It's your job to figure out when you can have a quiz for however long you're going to tell them. And this is where I'm going to set the timer. I want there to be a certain number of minutes. Obviously, it is not for an open book quiz. I want it to be a certain number of minutes. What I do is I say, hey, what is an average amount of time that someone who studied a lot should do it in? Again, this is open book. So I'm not too lenient. Well, actually, I will be in a second. So I might say for these two quiz attempts, if I think it might take an average student 5 minutes to look up some stuff for each question, there's a lot of content in that first quiz question. So I might say that one might take someone 10 minutes to really evaluate all 6 ones, even if they've been paying attention. So I'll give that 20 minutes for both questions. And then for me, this is my choice. I want to be as lazy as possible for figuring out which students need ORS accessibility for double or triple test time. So I'm going to take that 20 minutes and multiply it by 3 and give it to everyone. Again, I've been doing this for 7 years. Never has a class consistently scored really high because I gave them triple the amount of time. So I'm good with tripling the amount of time for every single person. Auto submit, I turn it on just so that the student doesn't say, oh, I forgot to submit. It'll submit it. And this down below here, this is where you can say when you want it to be displayed after. Like maybe you have your quiz next week, so you set it to be displayed after the 26th. I'm not going to do that so you can watch me take the quiz. So I'm going to uncheck that. You could say display until, and then it'll disappear after a certain amount of time. I want to keep that quiz up there so they remember. I've used password only. We won't need to use a password. For test availability exceptions, this is where if you're not like me and you want to actually go through and give each person triple the amount of time that they need, this is where you'd add a user. The only user I have is myself as a previewer, so I'm going to add myself to show you. You could say maybe one person gets unlimited attempts, maybe a single attempt. I don't know, honors. Maybe you increase the number of attempts or decrease the number of attempts. This is where you can triple the amount of time, 180, things like that. Or you could change the availability of this quiz or whether it completes or not. I'm going to go ahead and X this out because I don't need it. Are you sure? Yes, I am sure. Due date, of course, if you add a due date, then they will know. I'm going to click this on Friday, 11:59 p.m. Personally, I do everything end of day, at the end of the day. Again, if you do midnight, notice where midnight is. That's the beginning of that day. So I do end of day, it's 11:59. No question whether or not that's midnight Friday or midnight Saturday. Which one is it? It's 11:59 p.m. of that date. And do I check this? Yes, I do. Do not. Oh, why aren't you allowing me to check it? And you know what? I just checked this for the last quiz I created, and I'm not sure why it's not allowing me to check this. Maybe it's because I don't have a something. Darn it. So if you don't check this, students can start it, but it won't actually grade it if you have a due date. Is that why? If I click that, can I check that? Oh, interesting. Okay, well, oh, there it goes. There, I don't know why. So those of you who are just figuring out, yeah, this checkbox was not checkable a moment ago, and I don't know why. So if it's the same thing for you, this is a glitch in Blackboard. I don't know why. Just keep unchecking the due date and then check that again. There. Now I've got a due date and it won't allow the students. But if you didn't check this, they can actually take the quiz and it's late, and you can decide if you want to count it or not. Or if you want to count it for like half as much or a quarter as much. Yes, include this in your test grade center score calculations. And this is the part that can get you. Okay, so you want to be nice and you want to be not too nice. So one semester, well, okay, so let's click on what happens. Like, these are the events. After submission is the most common one. Oh no. Let's keep that. We could do like on a specific date, but let's just say after they submit their test. That's the most common one. What do we want to show them? Let's show them the score per question. Because for the ones I do with multiple answers and matching, like, they could easily get partial credit. So let's show them what they got. Show them the score. I like to show them all answers. That's all of the answer possibilities. So this, yeah, shows all the possible answers. It just shows them at the bottom. These are everything. And I show them that because I want them to remember what they could have chosen. One semester, I made the accident of thinking that I was only showing them their correct answer. Do not check this middle box, because this will show them the correct answer to the quiz. And if you do it the way I do it, which is open book and whatever, and it's really hard and annoying, and they have multiple attempts, then they'll see what the correct answer is, and they'll easily get 100 the next time without even thinking. So don't check that. Unless it's their final score, I guess. Submitted, yeah, I want them to know what they submitted, and then they'll see actually their submitted answers and then all of the answer possibilities below that. I work hard on my feedback, so yeah, let's show them the feedback, and let's show them which questions they got wrong. Okay, so that's what this means. After you do that, how you choose to do your quizzes, again, this is all up to you. I prefer to do it all at once because I like taking quizzes all at once, like the SATs, GREs. I like having the ability in most of those sections to keep going back and forth, back and forth. You could do one at a time. I hate that, and I don't prohibit backtracking. That's up to you. And definitely, I like to randomize questions. If you randomize questions, get used to, students will likely say, "Hey, professor," in an email, "I had a really hard time with question number 3. And then I have to tell them, "Please, what was the question about?" That's it. I'm going to click submit. And after you do that, you have now created week 8 reading quiz. And just so you know, you may never have done this, but they have, there's a possibility to add a tool link that is a calendar. And I call this my assignment calendar. Students really appreciate this. Submit. If you click the assignment calendar, this will show you every single upcoming quiz. You'll notice I've got week 7 upcoming quiz there, week 8 upcoming quiz there. This will have all sorts of different assignments that are assigned in Blackboard. So that's what I do, and so you'll see your quizzes here, and it's in the assignment calendar, and your students will get a notice about it, and then they have to do it. In the next video, the last video, I hope I will actually show you what happens when you take the quiz.